So today, what do I have? I have a Jackson's art haul. So I know a couple of weeks ago I did a swatch video of Roman Szmal colors that were in a set, and I noticed when I got the set that there weren't any black colors in it, so I decided to buy a few more colors to complement this palette of Roman Szmal colors. And if I would have known when I bought these at the beginning of January that at the end of January Roman Szmal watercolors would go on sale, I probably would have just waited. So guess what? I have more watercolors coming in the next couple of days, so these will not be the only ones I'm swatching. So this was the last palette of watercolors that I swatched out of the Roman Szmal, and these are some different colors, well, except for this one. This one right here was already on this, it was already on there. That is the ocean blue. I bought a spare because that color's just gorgeous, and I can actually zoom in on it. Isn't that crazy? So this is actually an extra one. I won't be swatching that one out. I will be swatching these other colors out, however. And I also decided to buy a couple of these little, I do a lot of small paintings, so I bought a couple of the Jackson's watercolor blocks just because I like to try out different papers. I do have some good paper. I mean, I have Arches and I have a couple of other papers that I like to use. Alright, I am unwrapping these. I know it looks like candy, right? So this is the Roman Szmal Indigo Greenish, and it has a wild looking color right there on the top. This is so dark. Well, it's definitely got green undertones to it. And we'll see that when I get it watered out. And I do expect some separation of this color, which I can already see the separation of it. Oh, fun. Let's get some more dark in there. So it has PB 15.3, PG7, and PK7. So one of the things I like about the Roman Szmal paints is the color that's on here is an actual paint color. It's not printed on there. It is the paint color. They've swatched it with some paint, which is kind of cool. So whenever you look at the packaging is definitely it's definitely very handmade, and we can tell that by some of the paints too, that they were hand poured. So with hand poured paints, they're not always completely flat. It's hard to get any consistency with pouring paint. You know, you don't know if it's going to go a little bit wonky on one side, or, you know. And that is the joy of a nice handmade paint. So I like to keep these, and what I do with them is, I'll show you on the back of this. I tape the labels onto the back of my cards if I have good labels with good information on them, because one of the things with these, which I'm going to have to make labels to put on the actual paints. That's my one complaint about the Roman Szmal paints, is that they do not have the information printed on the paint pan. So all I know about this paint from the paint pan is that it is a Roman Szmal paint, because that is on there. This is forest, I want to say forest, yep, forest green. So in case you're wondering, this is cheap paper that I do these cards on. So whenever I stamp them, sometimes I get this weird line around the edge. I think it's just from the silicone stamp itself. So this one too is a multi-pigment color, so I do expect separation from it. So these ones with separation, the nice thing is you get a good, you can get a good color variety and texture from the paint. Without having to throw a bunch of colors on it. The good thing about having the pigment information is you don't always have to buy the pre-mixed stuff. This is PB29, PR11, and PY150. So PB29 is ultramarine blue. I mean, it can be ultramarine purple or ultramarine, but it's ultramarine blue. And ultramarine blue is a floater. I think PBR11 is also a floater. So I expect the yellow to stick, and then for us to start seeing a little bit of separation in with the brown, which I can already see the separation with the brown. Let's see if I can bring that a little bit closer so you can see it. I'm still learning this camera, it's brand new. But hopefully you can see the separation happening there. This is a gorgeous color. I mean, this is foliage for sure. In that. So it's going to have even more separation whenever it's fully dry. Next we have the neutral tint. And we have pigments, PB60, PK6, and PV19. This looks like it would be a good color for shadows. Has a little bit of that blue undertone to it. Aquarius Black. And this is PK11, which PK11 is also Mars Black. Seems like this one is having a little bit of issues re-wetting. So I'm going to let that sit for a few seconds and then try and mix it up again. It'll be interesting to see how this one granulates, because I know that Mars Black, which is the same pigment, tends to be really granular. In fact, we'll do the Mars Black next, since I bought that as well. So here's Mars Black, and I like to keep these labels to put on the back of them, since it has all the information on it, and the exact color on the label, since they have painted that on there. So let's see where we're at with this Mars Black. I think part of the problem is the wax was on the top to keep it from sticking to the paper during the wrapping process, and I think that just might be wax on the top that's kind of not dissolving with the water. So if that's the issue, then it's not really an issue, because that can be fixed. Like, eventually it'll resolve itself. But that is definitely beating off the top in areas. And this is the Mars Black. And this definitely has more yellow undertone to it than what the Aquarius Black does. We'll compare those two colors once they're dry. Next I have Van Dyke Brown. Van Dyke Brown. Next we'll do Manganese Brown. Now, unlike the Van Dyke Brown, this is definitely a lot more opaque. And that's typical with your cobalts, manganese, and a lot of more earthy colors tend to be very okay. It's very pigmented too. So not only is it opaque, it's just really, really pigmented. Next we have Cypress Burnt Umber. Prussian Blue. To me, this seems a little bright for a Prussian blue. So I'm going to have to compare it to some of the other Prussian blues I have because this is really bright. It's very pretty, but it is extremely bright. I mean, it does go into the dark. This is Mineral Pink, and I think this one probably will granulate. I mean, it does look granulated on the paper. Well, the mass tone is definitely very purple, and even this looks very purple. And since I think this is a granulating color, I'm just going to let it flow into that water and we'll see what we get at the end. And our last Roman Szmal color that I have is Buff Titanium. I probably should have done that one relatively first because sometimes a little bit of the other colors, especially the more staining ones, stick to the brush, and then you really see it once you get started on the lighter color. So I do expect this one to be a more opaque color. Oh, pardon me for the dog hair. Occasionally, you will hear snoring in the background. And that would be one of the two puppies that are here on the floor by me. They can be a bit loud at moments. To grab it in Japan, because sometimes when you open these tubes up, they come squeezing out of the tube whether you're squeezing it or not, like. So I would rather get some in a pan. The struggle is real. Oh no. I'm just making a mess today. We're going to put that aside to dry, because I have plenty on my paintbrush right now, just from trying to move that around. With these two colors that I see here, the brown and the blue, I'm going to also suspect that this is a granulating paint because of the PR7, and that these colors will kind of separate out a little bit, so we will see flecks of brown in here, possibly. So we'll just have to let that settle out. So what I'm thinking is that we make it blue and brown separation in this color, because that's the two colors that are in here. PB15, which is usually like your phthalo blues, and PBR7, which is like your umbers. So we'll see. And now I need to clean up my mat because I have paint sitting on there. We will let these dry up, and then I'll come back and we'll look at results. So I'm back, and I brought back a few of color cards from some of the other paints that I do own. The Prussian blue, I thought the color was a little off, but it's not that it's off. It's just a lot. It's very vibrant and pigmenting compared to my other Prussian blues that I have. So definitely it's still in the category of Prussian blue. There's nothing off with it, just more pigmented. I also want to do a comparative between the Aquarius black and the Mars black. So we have granulating on both. The Aquarius black seems to be a more neutral color than the Mars black. The Mars black does definitely have yellow undertones to it. I feel like this one has a little more blue undertones, but not like the neutral tint. Now the nice thing about the neutral tint is it's not a granulating color. So this gives you a very dense black that leans towards the blue colors, which is good for shadows. Now, our brown colors that we did today were Van Dyke Brown, cypress burnt umber, and manganese brown. So the manganese brown is definitely more opaque than what the other two colors are. This seems to be quite granulating, which is nice because even though it's a single pigment, a single earth pigment, that granulation has different tone values to it. So you can see the dark, almost blackish specks in it, and I'm going to bring this one up closer so you can get a better look at that. There are specks in there that are darker than the bottom color, so you almost see oranges, yellows, blacks, all mixed in together, but it is a single pigment, so it's just that earth pigment. Very happy with those. Now, the mineral pink has a beautiful separation of color, and I just wanted to do a comparison to the Roman Szmal mineral violet. So the mineral violet definitely has those blue undertones, more blue undertones than the pink. I mean, both are beautiful colors, but that's just spectacular. If you want, we will do a little bit closer on that so you can see. I mean, look at that color separation. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Roman Szmal forest green. And then there are a couple of colors that are close pigment-wise, but not the same exact colors. I feel like with this one, the combination is definitely brighter than the other two that I have. It's very similar to both the Undersea Green by Daniel Smith and the Aquarius Green by Roman Szmal, which, I mean, honestly, definitely see a lot more blue in this one than that one. This is brighter. Beautiful separation in this as well. Nice, beautiful. I mean, look at the browns all the way to one end. So just imagine you're doing foliage and how much time this could save you on your background foliage, which means you could paint this down and then you can paint darker on top of it, but it gives you a lot of texture in a single brush stroke, which is fantastic. And my other comparison that I have is the Christmas Tree Green by Daniel Smith, and the one that I have that's close to it is the White Nights Green. The Daniel Smith definitely has a lot more separation in it. I definitely like that. I mean, look, you can see the blue undertone in this. This one didn't separate out too much, and I did notice that with the White Nights. Even though they're granulating colors, they don't have that big separation like you do with some of the other brands, especially the Daniel Smith one tends to separate out really well. I will bring this one up close as well. I mean, that is definitely two colors there. Really nice. That's the end of the video today. This is a picture of what we're painting next. So hopefully I'll see you there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day. Bye.